If you've ever wondered what horsepower really means and how it impacts a car's performance, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll dive into the world of horsepower, exploring its definition, how it's measured, and its relation to car performance. Let's get started. Before all that, I have a question for all of you. Which car do you think holds the title for the most horsepower? Take a guess and comment down your answer. Stick till the end to see if you have the correct answer. So, what exactly is horsepower? Well, let's break it down. Horsepower is a measurement of power used to quantify an engine's strength. It's often abbreviated as HP. In simple terms, it represents how much work an engine can perform. While there are many factors that affect a car's speed and performance, horsepower plays a significant role, especially in terms of acceleration. While the term horsepower is commonly used in the UK to refer to the metric measurement, it is known by different names in other regions, and there are various equivalent measurements as well. First of all, let's get that sorted. PS. This stands for Pferdstark in German, which literally translates to horsepower. This is the most commonly used measurement in Europe and is the exact equivalent to horsepower in measurement. CV. Similarly to PS, this is a direct equivalent to horsepower. This is a French acronym, standing for chevaux vapeur. kW. This stands for kilowatt and, in terms of cars, is used most commonly in Europe for electric car power outputs. 1 kilowatt is the equivalent to about 1.3 horsepower. BHP. Brake horsepower is a term you may be familiar with, particularly if you read a lot of UK car magazines. Let's dive deeper into brake horsepower in the UK. The traditional measure of a car's power has been brake horsepower, BHP. Unlike regular horsepower, brake horsepower takes into account frictional losses in the engine, making it slightly lower than horsepower. 1 horsepower is approximately equal to 0.99 brake horsepower. For example, 400 horsepower is equal to 395 brake horsepower. Although manufacturers now typically provide power figures in horsepower, many traditional car magazines still use brake horsepower as the standard measurement. Let's see how the word horsepower originated. The term horsepower originated from the pioneering work of James Watt, a Scottish engineer and inventor, in the late 18th century. Watt wanted to find a way to compare the power output of his steam engines to the work done by horses, which were commonly used as a source of power at that time. To provide context and make it relatable, Watt conducted experiments and calculated that an average horse could raise 33,000 pounds of water by 1 foot in the air in just 1 minute. He then defined 1 unit of horsepower as the equivalent power output of a horse performing this work. This measurement allowed Watt to market his steam engines more effectively by quantifying their power in a relatable way. Thus, the term horsepower was born and has been used ever since to measure the power output of engines. Modern car manufacturers do not employ the practice of placing cars in front of wells and using water to determine their performance. Instead, they rely on a device called a dynamometer, commonly referred to as a dyno, to measure the force generated by the engine. So what kind of impact does horsepower have on a car's performance? Simply put, the more horsepower a car has, the faster it can go in a straight line. When it comes to measuring the power of an engine, there are 2 key players, horsepower and torque. And important measurements used to describe the performance of an engine, but they represent different aspects of engine power. Horsepower is a measurement of how quickly the engine can perform work. It indicates the engine's ability to sustain high speeds and maintain power over time. Higher horsepower generally means a car can accelerate faster and achieve higher top speeds. On the other hand, torque represents the rotational force that the engine generates. It determines the engine's ability to move heavy objects or get a car moving from a standstill. Higher torque allows for better acceleration and towing capability. Let's answer some common questions related to horsepower. How much horsepower does a normal car have? The horsepower of a car varies depending on the type. A typical supercar could boast around 500 horsepower, a regular city car might have approximately 90 horsepower, and a typical family hatchback could range around 140 horsepower. However, it's worth noting that a car with less than 100 horsepower can be a bit challenging to handle outside of urban areas. Do electric cars have horsepower? Yes. Electric vehicles, EVs, feature motors powered by batteries that generate horsepower. The measurement and expression of horsepower in electric cars are similar to those in petrol and diesel cars. However, electric cars deliver power differently. They have the unique advantage of being able to provide maximum output instantly, without the need for revving up to reach optimal speed like traditional petrol or diesel engines. Now, answer for the question I asked you in the beginning. The car with the most horsepower is the Rimac Nevera, an electric hypercar that boasts an astounding 1,914 horsepower. This makes the Rimac Nevera the reigning champion in terms of raw power. It's an impressive testament to the advancements in electric vehicle technology. That's a wrap for today. Don't forget to comment your thoughts. If you like to see more videos like this, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.